Who am I? The girls them sugar.
I think we might, depending on how, judging on what you said earlier, I think we definitely going to disagree on this
Possibly.
next topic.
Possibly.
But
let me get some more Necker this guys and then we'll.
Let me get some more his Jesus juice. I'm talking about that spirit. Get some of them Holy Spirits in me.
The nappy headed ones. the nappy
right.
The nappy headed ones. All right. Well, yeah, we're gonna talk about. I can never say his name correctly, but Kyle Rittenhouse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about him very briefly. For those that don't know, for one, look up his name. If you don't know, you probably been living under a rock anyway. But this is I'm gonna have trouble explaining this topic without using my bias. But I'm gonna try to do my best to explain this topic, and I'll be brief so that I don't give too much bias away. But so Kyle Rittenhouse is a 17-year-old boy, white male. He drove to Wisconsin, a little over the state lines from where he actually lives. In order to join a militia. I'm using that as what they say it is. It's militia in order to protect businesses and other things that's in those areas of where the protests were going on and riots or looting, if you will, maybe. So he went there to join that. He also is an EMT, if I'm not mistaken, or he's some type of certified EMT. So he was there trying to help people in general. Didn't actually end up that way. It ended up in some type of altercation with him and another white male. He ended up shooting that male in the head, one shot, and he was dead. He got into another altercation with another man while he was fleeing. It looks to me that self-defense might be something that you might say would be reasonable here. Excuse me. I'm having a hard time seeing that one. I'm having a hard time seeing the self-defense argument. The reason being is because, yeah, we can say his motives might have been pure. I'm not even 100% sold on that. I'm not sure his motives were pure on that. I look at it, no matter how you look at it, it's probably murder at the least. It's probably, even if you want to say like involuntary manslaughter or something like that, sure. He killed a man he shouldn't have been killing. He shouldn't even have been carrying a gun. We know that. He's 17. The legal limit is 18. He shouldn't have the gun in his possession at all. That's one. Two, even if I don't really think that his life was in danger, especially with the first person that he shot. The second person you can probably say that he killed probably could say that maybe he was pursuing him in a dangerous manner. Some people argue that he had a gun. There is a video of this. I didn't see a gun in that video when he was shooting the second and third person he shot. I think he ended up shooting a total of 4 people. It might have been 3, but I'm 3. Yeah, so he shot a total of 3 people. 2 of those people died, and one of those people got his arm pretty much, I don't want to say blown off. I'm not sure exactly, but his arm was shot, and it was pretty deadly. But I can't see the self-defense argument in this because, again, he shouldn't have been there. I've seen the police chief say that, hey, if these people weren't be there, then nobody would be dead. It's like, yeah, but if you would have told that to the same militia that you was trying to help out, then nobody would have died as well. So you can't just use that as against the protesters because they don't fit your bill. You only using people that fit your category that you like, people that are considering trying to help you out. So you cool with them actually traveling around on the streets, but you're not cool with the protesters traveling around the street, right? Because the protesters are just the initial thing. The reaction is the militia. So you okay with the reaction is what you're telling me. You okay with the reaction of males and women and things of that nature running around with assault rifles and pistols and things of that nature, armed to the teeth to try to protect businesses. You okay with that, even though they are still breaking curfew just as the protesters are, but you rather give it the blame to the protesters for being there in the first place? I don't really understand the concept of that. Maybe you can explain it.
So before I take this stand, because I know this podcast, especially if you know me, it might be hard to listen to of the positions and the stances I'm taking. I just want to make it very clear. I'm not justifying or glorifying these people. I'm just looking at the circumstances and giving an objective opinion. So I'm not saying that I agree that Kyle Rittenhouse is an American patriot and he is the best of the best of us and we should all. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying look at the facts, look at the law, and let's make honest decisions right now. So I do believe this is a case of self-defense. I do think that he shouldn't have he shouldn't have possessed the weapon. I think that's just straight up. There's no defense on that. I think he should be found guilty of that because he is 17. The legal age to carry that is 18, and he shouldn't have had that weapon. But let's break down the situation. So the first situation, he got into it with a man by the name of Joseph Rosenbaum, and that's the first man that he killed. He shot, I believe, 5 times, and then one of them went to his head, and he ultimately died. So in the video of that altercation, all of this is described in the actual report, the arrest complaint, and I think it's called the probable cause statement. All of that is outlined in this document. Everybody can Google that, download that document, and they can also look up the videos cited in that document. So the first thing is happening. He's being chased. And this is from the prosecutor, the people that are charging him with this crime. They all say the story the way I'm about to say it. So I don't want you to seem like I'm being biased or I'm trying to paint this scenario. If you read the statement, this is exactly how they describe it. He's being chased by a group of people. He's running away with his weapon. The man by the name of Joseph, he is running after him and he's throwing something at him and what's described as a plastic bag. But if you look at the video, you know, something is in that plastic bag. Nobody has said what is in there, but you could tell something was in there. Some people say it was a Molotov. Some people say it was a brick, but he threw something at Kyle Rittenhouse. Kyle then runs and he hits a garage or like a car parking lot. Somebody with a pistol in the group that's chasing him shows the pistol and shoots a shot before Kyle shoots anything. Kyle then turns around and then Joseph tries to take Kyle's gun from him. And all of this is in the report, and this is how they say it. The first shot goes into the ground. Some say that it was a warning shot. Some say it was an accidental discharge, but the first shot does not hit Joseph. It is only then after Joseph tries to take his weapon again is he shot again. And you can see 2 sets of shots from Kyle Rittenhouse. And then after he gets shot, Joseph falls to the ground. And then one of the people that originally interviewed Kyle, one of the videos that's going around of that interview with Kyle, he actually takes off his shirt and try to render aid. But once he sees that there's a bullet wound to the head, he knows that this person is about to die. Kyle then gets on the phone, calls one of his friends and say, yo, I just killed somebody. Then continues to run again, and he runs down the street, and then the group of people chase him again. And he's running again, running away. People then go up. One person goes up to him and swings on him and actually knocks his hat off. Hats fall to the ground. All this is on video. Then another person goes up and they run behind him. They chasing him. And you can hear people on the video saying like, what did he do? What did he do? They say he just shot him. And he's like, get his ass, get him. Everybody get his ass. So he's running, hearing all this, and then he falls. Another person, I believe his name is Anthony Huber. And I might get them too confused. I think Anthony Huber is the one that died. He goes up to him and he actually hits him with a skateboard. And then another person goes up and then tries to kick him, but then they miss. And he shoots at the person that tries to kick him, and then that person runs away. And then the person that hits him with the skateboard, he hits him with the skateboard, tries to take his gun away again, and then he shoots him once in the chest, and then that person falls. Then Gage, I want to say Gross Cutes, or I might be saying his name wrong, but he actually came up and he had a pistol, and he actually was aiming the pistol at Kyle Rittenhouse and tried to take his weapon away, and then Kyle shot him in the arm, and that's the picture that you see with the dude with the pistol, and his arm is shot. So a lot happened, and all of this is caught on video, and you can see these different altercations. I don't know what originally stemmed to escalate the situation to where everybody is chasing Kyle. I don't know if he provoked anything. That is yet to be proven. And again, that's why we go to the court of law. But when you look at the video, when you look at the evidence, when you listen to the testimony, because there were witnesses and they have given testimony and all that is cited in his report, Kyle was not the aggressor. At every situation, he was running away. People were trying to disarm him. There was pistols around, either pointed at him or shot in the air. He does not know that they don't mean him any harm. At every given point, they're trying to disarm him. You can argue that that's the legal thing to do, is disarm a minor with a rifle that shouldn't have one. That needs to be argued in a court of law. But in a moment, can you reasonably see how somebody who has a weapon, who is getting hit in the head with a skateboard, who's hearing pistol shots either aimed at him or aimed around him, understands why he is in fear for his life and he has to shoot the people that are attacking him. I think that is the grounds for self-defense that I think he will argue. And I think of these, I believe he was charged with 6 counts, 2 counts of first-degree recklessly endangering safety, 1 count of first-degree reckless homicide, 1 count of attempt first-degree intentional homicide, 1 count of first-degree intentional homicide, and then 1 count of possession of a dangerous weapon by a person under 18. The only one that I believe will stick after all the evidence is reviewed is the possession of a dangerous weapon by a person under 18. All of these different intentional homicides or those reckless homicides, I believe he will take the self-defense argument, and I think he has a good case for that.
So you don't think that the endangerment will stick either?
Well, the endangerment ones are just saying that he shot in the direction of somebody. Mm-hmm. So the one endangerment is the person I was actually interviewing, or the guy that took his shirt off to render aid to the first person, Joseph Rosenbaum, just because when he shot Joseph and he shot off, I think it was like 5 or 6 shots. The person that in that first one, I forget his name, excuse me for forgetting his name, but he was in the vicinity as those shots were going off. So that's 1 count of endangerment. The second count of recklessly endangering safety is the person that came up and kicked him while he was down and he shot in his direction. Mm-hmm. And that's the second count of reckless endangering safety. So and again, I'm no lawyer, so I don't want to qualify this. I'm not just saying I'm qualified to speak on this, but in an event where you're being chased, there are people with guns around you and you're being attacked at all sides. I don't think a reasonable person can be expected to gauge this person is a threat versus the one with the gun when you have a mob of people chasing you saying, get his ass, take his gun, and you're getting hit with skateboards and people are trying to kick you. I don't think that you can say that, oh, he recklessly endangered my safety when you were the one that provoked that action by trying to kick him in the head. Okay. That's my understanding of it.
So legally, I don't think I could disagree with you. I can't make an argument against that based off of the facts that we got, right? Like I just can't, right? I don't know what happened in between that time, but the video starting and this time that the actual report started when you could read it. I don't know what happened. I know that he broke off from his group at some point. He was out there by himself at some point, walking around the protesters. Some people say that he was out there trying to render aid to people that needed it. He is an EMT. That's true. Some people say he was a little bit antagonizing people just by walking around, with the rifle. Everybody out there knows that he's on the other side of this kind of conversation. So him walking around could be viewed as somebody antagonizing just in general, just kind of, wearing your rifle, just kind of walking around. I could see why that would be a little bit antagonizing to the protesters as well. But let's take a step back here and talk about the interaction we seen with him and the cops then. Can we start there?
Okay.
So how do you feel about that? So there's a clear difference in the way that the cops were treating the militia, as some people will call it, versus the protesters. Although they both should have been accused of the same crime, which would have been breaking curfew. Is that right or wrong?
I think technically that's right, but they weren't enforcing a curfew nobody got charged with breaking curfew.
Mm-hmm, right. But there was a curfew.
Right.
So they should have been pushing everybody off the street the same way, no matter who they were. No matter what, if I'm with you or against you, everybody in there should be pushed off the street.
Yeah, but that's not realistic.
It's not realistic, but that's what they were there to do.
Yeah.
For what other reason would the cops be there for? For
riot control, to protect assets, to make sure that people don't get hurt.
So then what's the point of a curfew? If you're not going to enforce it.
I'm not saying that they're right for not enforcing it. I'm just saying that the goal is to allow for peaceful protests, but hold people accountable when they start to do illegal activity, such as riots, such as loot, such as burn things down. I think that the media has made it to the point where cops are afraid to do their jobs as go home, because now that's going to be spun as, the cops are trying to silence us and they're violating our freedom. I agree. Symbol. And so it's they're not enforcing everybody go home. It's bruh, y'all don't need to burn stuff down. Y'all don't need to set fire to these buildings. Y'all don't need to loot. Y'all don't need to destroy the city because that's what's been happening. And that's not to say that all protesters are responsible for that. I'm not saying that the protesters are wrong or the people that peacefully protest are the same people that agitate, riot, and burn stuff down. But that isn't okay. That isn't okay. A distinction needs to be made between peacefully protesting and people that are rioting, looting, and burning stuff down. And the cop's job is to make sure to apprehend, stop, and hold people accountable that choose to do that. There are several businesses being burned down, furniture stores, car lots that are burned down that had nothing to do with the shooting of Jacob Blake. So the cops are there to make sure that that doesn't happen, or if it does, to catch the people that are responsible for it.
Right, but my issue with that is I feel that the cops in the interactions that I've seen with that militia is inappropriate, to say the least, or unprofessional, whatever you want to say. But they are empowering them to go out here and be vigilantes. That's what's happening. You empowering them. That's what the media. That's even some parts of the media. You're empowering them to go do things that they shouldn't be out there doing. It's not their job to do. If they want to walk around with rifles, if they want to walk around with pistols, that's their job. That's their job. But as soon as they go out into crowds and antagonize people, or as soon as they try to stand on you with riot shields and push people away too, now they wild, and that's not their job. That's not their part to do. They're committing assault. You might be doing your job, but they would be committing assault doing the same thing that you're trying to do by trying to push people in a certain way, by trying to hinder what other protesters are doing. That's an amendment thing. That's not something that they should be able to be doing. So by you handing out water and telling them, hey, I like what you out here doing. Hey, we're going to push them down here because you can handle them. Like things like that. You are telling them basically to be able to commit a crime. You're trying to give them the power to be able to do so. That's unacceptable to me. That's the part that I can't see. There's a clear distinction in how they are treating that militia in the terms of how they treating the actual protesters. That's unacceptable. They both out there for their own agenda. 100%. There's no doubt in my mind. They're both out there for their own agendas. If you could say they are protecting whatever they want to, that's fine. That's not. It surely wasn't Kyle Rittenhouse any buildings that he actually owned. It surely wasn't his place. So you can call him here all you want, but he drove across lines to go and join into this. He wanted to be there. That's his fault. He should never have been there. That had nothing to do with him. We talked about just a second ago. I put blame on protesters, or not even protesters, but people that are out there looting and rioting that have nothing to do with actual Jacob Blake. I put blame on them. Also put blame on people that's driving across country lines to go join a militia, which I consider a gang, to do what? To do the police job, to help out the police. That's fine, but they shouldn't. They let them do their jobs. Let them do the thing. And to the cops, hold them accountable for shit like that. Hold them accountable. They can't be out there doing the same thing you doing. It's not how it works. It's just not. They're not trained. They don't have a badge. They have a rifle because they're legally, and I'm all the way for that. I'm all the way for them having weapons. I'm all the way for that. As soon as you are actually antagonizing situations like this to happen as cops when you letting them do things what they want, when you supporting them, when you telling them certain things, you are actually supporting that type of action. So when something like that happens, those deaths are on your hands too, because you could have handled that situation a little bit differently. That's kind of where I stand in the whole situation.
I think you make a lot of good points. The only one I would push back on is the video where the dude said, the cops told us we're going to push them your way. There isn't no evidence of that.
Right.
That's only hearsay. So you can't put that on the cops.
Yeah.
Them handing out water and them saying we appreciate y'all for being out here. That is nothing more than people. And again, this isn't to glorify these people. I'm just looking at it from an objective standpoint, because if we got to be honest about rights. We got to be honest about the law. We got to be honest about what we can do. And once we start to switch it to fit a narrative, we start to unknowingly take away the freedoms that we have as Americans. And once we agree to take them away because it fits an unfair or unpopular situation, we lose those rights. And I'm against that. So to first come back that point where you're saying like these people are out there agitating, I don't see it as that, because there is such thing as far as property rights. Just the way people have rights to express themselves and they have the right to protest, I think that's fine. I think everybody should exercise that. There is also a right to protect your property. There is things called property rights. And I believe in the Constitution, the whole mindset behind that is you trade your time, your energy for money to accumulate money and to accumulate property. So if somebody was to come in and burn that down, you have the right to defend that. Now, if you see cops out here not being able to defend it, because as you see in these days of the protests, cops can't be everywhere. A group of people can get together over here and they have to control that to protect these assets. A group of people can get together over here and they can't be everywhere. So when you're seeing car dealerships get burned down, furniture stores get burned down, innocent buildings, again, that have nothing to do with the situation, get burned down, there will be people who want to defend that property. It's not always going to be the exact owners of that property, but it will be people who believe in standing up against people who are going to destroy the city. And that's what I was talking about earlier when you misconstrue the facts and you make it seem like anybody who is against your narrative is a racist, is a bigot. You empower these people to come together to say, no, we're doing the right thing. We're going to stand together as a militia, as they say, and protect these businesses, protect this property so that any of these looters and these rioters, they don't destroy it. And again, I want to make a clear distinction. We're not talking about the protesters. I'm not talking about anybody peacefully protesting. But just like I was saying before, when you talk about resisting arrest and all of the problems that come with that, the moment you start rioting, throwing stuff at cops, burning stuff down, you can't then go back and play the victim when people stand up to you for protecting the same property that you're trying to destroy. So I will say that I can't get mad at people trying to protect property and trying to stop people from burning stuff down, because if you come and try to burn down my business, if you come down and trying to burn down my house or my furniture store that I spent my whole life trying to build up and I did that from the mud, I don't want you to destroy that because you mad at somebody else. So I would want somebody to defend my stuff. I would try to defend my stuff. And I think that that needs to be taken into account. Yes, it's easy to look at these situations to say, yo, they shouldn't have been there. That's not right. But people have the right to defend property. And people don't have the right to go and burn stuff down because they're mad. And we have to be honest about that. It's not popular to say, it's not popular to think. I'm not criticizing peaceful protesters, but once you start burning stuff down and tearing up the city, that's not right. And when somebody chooses to stand up against you, that's going to happen. That's the natural progression of things. You can't throw the rock and then get mad when somebody blocks it and throws one back at you. That's just the natural progression of things. So we have to hold everybody accountable on both sides. And I can't just say you shouldn't have been there defending the property because the people shouldn't be there burning stuff down.
Agreed.
And when cops interact with people that's there to defend, obviously they're not going to have that same level of apprehension against them than people that may be the ones that could go and start a fire or could go burn something down. There is going to be a difference of interactions between them.
So you don't feel there's any type of unprofessionalism with the cops in the way they are supporting this militia?
They gave them water. They gave them water, and we said, we appreciate y'all for being out here.
Right.
I don't see how that's unfair.
I don't see any videos of them giving water to protesters and saying they appreciate them being out there either.
You saying that you don't see that does not mean it doesn't happen. And we can't judge one video and say that represents the whole thing. They literally gave him some water and say, yo, we appreciate y'all for being out here. Homie is out there literally giving aid to people on both sides, not just people defending. He literally came down there as an EMT to help the whole situation. For you to say that, yo, that's not fair for you to say we appreciate y'all for being out here. Come on, bro. Let's be real.
Let's be real then. But we can honestly give an assumption that never happened to the protesters, though. If you're saying let's be real, then let's be real. We talking about what's only facts, but we know based off of what we know about this situation, There's no way that happened.
No, you're
There's
assuming.
no way that happened.
Assumption. That's your assumption. But you can't put that on there. That's your assumption. Just because you haven't seen it. Just because you haven't seen it doesn't mean it
educated
doesn't
assumption right there.
But it's still an assumption. I'm talking about what we see. And I'm judging just on what we see. I can't speak on their interactions with the protesters. I can only speak on those who are antagonizing them that they're fighting with. Again, that's not what their interaction with the peaceful protesters. That's not who I'm talking about. But if I see them giving water to people that's saying, hey, we're out here trying to defend property and we're here giving aid to anybody that needs it, I'm not mad at them for saying we appreciate you for being out there. I can't speak to what I didn't see. I can only speak to what I did see. And I don't see anything wrong with that.
So I'm just at a loss because I understand we can say that he's out there giving EMTA, right? Like that to me is an assumption. That he went there.
There's a video. There is literally a video. He's getting interviewed and somebody's walking around. He's like, hey, I'm a qualified EMD. How can I help you? And he literally walks away from the interview to give aid. That's what we see.
So you tell me by that we can determine that he went out there to only do that.
I didn't say his intentions. I never said his intentions. You asked me, is it unfair for the police to support this militia and their interactions with the militia as opposed to the protests? I'm saying I do not see their interactions with the peaceful protests, so I can't say it's unfair, but I don't think that it's wrong for them to give water and say, we appreciate you for being out here, for people who are on camera saying we're trying to defend property and we're trying to render aid to anybody that needs it. I'm not going to assume they're not doing that for the other side because I don't see that.
Which is perfectly fine, but that's my thing about Kyle. At what point did he leave the group that's out there in front of businesses, actually defending these businesses, to go into the crowd? And what were the intentions then? We can't speak to the intentions, but we know what happened in the end, right?
Yeah, and I'm not arguing that his intentions are pure. I never said he was a pure intentioned person. He is a hero. I never said that. I'm saying that the instances that he's being charged for, even in the documents, in the probable cause statement, all say he was running away. He was being provoked. They were trying to take his weapon. He was being swung on. He was being hit with a skateboard. He was being fired at on 2 separate occasions where pistols were being fired in his vicinity. I can't fault him for using the self-defense doctrine to defend himself with his weapon because he had it. That's all I'm saying. I'm not judging his intentions. These charges are not based on his intentions if he's going to claim self-defense. True. Yeah, there is more evidence to say that he was defending himself in these situations than there is to say that he is going out there with the
intent. And the prosecution will have to actually prove his intentions in order to convict him of murder.
Right. And because if he uses the self-defense doctrine, there is a presumption that he is using the means to defend himself. So it's on the prosecution to prove that he's trying to kill these people. In all of the videos, it's starting with him running away. He doesn't even have a duty to flee in Wisconsin. He doesn't have to run away. He doesn't have to prove that. But in all videos and all evidence that we've seen, and again, this is just what I've seen. If new evidence comes out, I'm subject to change my opinion, but I can only speak on what I've seen. He's running away in every instance being attacked. He turns around and shoots people, calls somebody, say, oh, I just killed somebody, and runs away again. And then he goes around, he gets attacked, he falls to the ground, gets hit with a skateboard. They try to stomp on him. Somebody runs up with a gun. He shoots 2 people and runs away again. Mm-hmm. So I can't say what his intentions are. I can only judge on those set of facts. I'm not saying he's a good person. I'm not saying that he did the right thing, but in the evidence shown by the letter of the law, I believe he has a good case for self-defense.
That's fair. I won't argue against that then, because I would agree too. I would agree he probably does. Now, I just want to be clear for people that want to call him some type of true patriot and hero and things like that. You are talking about somebody that was actively committing a crime.
Right.
You are talking about somebody that was committing a crime during that time. We can definitely say that he should have been there. That's something that it depends on how you feel about that. But one thing we can surely say is he should have never had a gun.
Right.
He should have never had a gun, and then none of this would have happened anyway, because it was against the law for him to have a gun. Right. So you can call him your hero. That's cool. That's what you want to do. I know y'all like to pull up history of people when they get into these type of altercations, when they get into crimes, things like that. You should look up your boy before you call him a hero too. Then look up your boy and see what type of stuff he been getting into in his short time living here on Earth, 17 years, and he out there beating women. So if that's your hero, then that's your hero. But let it be known he was out there actively committing a crime. Whether you think that what he actually did was just self-defense or anything like that, that's to be proven in court. But he was a minimum committing a crime out there. So just as you look at the protesters and things, or not the protesters, but the rioters and things like that, they were actually out there committing a crime. So was he. He was out there committing crimes too. So have at it.
Yeah, and I agree 100%. Like, I've never said, like, I never want to say, like, oh, he's completely innocent. He's an angel. His intentions are pure. That's not my demeanor at all. I actually have quite the difference. Like, I don't respect him for being there in the first place. I don't think he should have been there. I don't think that is any of his business. I don't think he should have had that weapon. And if he wouldn't have been there, if he wouldn't have been in these situations, people wouldn't be dead at this point. But That's my personal opinions. I'm able to have a personal opinion about this situation, but still look at it objectively and say, legally, I can't justifiably say that he's guilty of these crimes. because I don't want somebody's prejudice, somebody's discriminatory view of me as a black man to have that same weight in court to say, well, I don't like what you did. I don't agree with what you did. So I'll bend the law to make sure that you get prosecuted because that's how I feel. And that's what we need to be mindful of. We can have our own personal arguments of it, but we have to be honest when it comes to the law, because if you look at the law and who systematically is being more oppressed, and when you see these laws being skewed, it falls on people of color. So once we start to justify it and say, yes, it needs to happen for this white person, then we can no longer say that it shouldn't happen to us. And I just want to make sure that we have that in mind when we're looking at the law and we're looking at the legal system.
I appreciate that, Jake. Yeah, I appreciate that, Jake. Yeah. It's a nasty situation all around. But that's the thing, legally, and that's why I'm in a tough spot, because legally I can't disagree with you. It's just that's the way it's written, right? So he has a good defense for self-defense. I also do agree that a good prosecutor may be able to process him for murder.
Yeah, it's possible.
A good prosecutor may say, why the hell did you go from your home and your mom drove your ass all the way out here to carry around a gun and do this and that? A prosecutor, I can see convincing the jury that, hey, this dude didn't have good intentions to come here. So I can see both sides of it. I'm still, I don't appreciate him being there at all. I don't appreciate the way the cops had treated him in comparison to how I feel that, and this is, I'm going to say that I feel that they probably treated the protesters. And that's kind of where I stand.
And I agree. And I don't mean to keep high, because I agree. Like, we agree. Like, personally, we both agree. We all feel the same way. And I just want to make it clear. I'm just trying to say, when you accuse people of doing stuff, you got to be careful, right? I can have my own personal opinions. Like, me personally, I don't like that they out here giving water, like you said, to the militia, and like, yo, we appreciate y'all for being out here, but they may not give it to the other side. But I can't accuse them of doing that without the facts. I can only judge the facts by what I see and give an opinion on that when I speak on other people. I could have my own personal feelings, but only person I can really speak on is myself, knowing all the facts. And if I give facts, I can give a opinion on those set of facts, but I can't start accusing people of, you did this or you should have done that, if I don't have all the information, regardless of my personal feelings. And that's what I'm trying to convey on this episode. Like, I'm not saying, yo, I totally stand. No. And you have to give people that same option to say, yo, maybe they think like that, but they have a different view of this system. So that's the beauty of having this dialogue. And that's the importance of having this dialogue, that everybody doesn't just fit in a box. We have to allow for this dialogue. We have to allow for the scrutiny of all these facts so that we can have the most objective opinion.
Sure.
I'm just going to let you know, when we move into this next topic, I am biased. So this may not be the most objective opinion for me.
You watched what I told you to watch yesterday?
Who am I? The girls, them sugar.